Hello, Zalto Live listeners. Before we get started, we wanted to let you know that more teachings from Zen monk Claude AnShin Thomas are available in his two books, At Hell's Gate, A Soldier's Journey from War to Peace, and Bringing Meditation to Life, 108 Teachings on the Path of Zen Practice. Both are available wherever books are sold, and all proceeds go to the Zalto Foundation, dedicated to promoting nonviolence, awareness, and positive change.
Hello and welcome to Zalto Live, the podcast featuring Zen Buddhist monk Claude AnShin Thomas, who will share with you his life experiences that includes not only military combat, personal violence, and addiction, but also healing, transformation, and the ongoing joy of everyday life. Please enjoy listening.
Question from the group. Cubby.
How do you find working with ambivalence? Is it challenging for you, and how do you work with it?
I don't know. Sometimes I'm of the nature to be ambivalent, but then when there's an action to be taken, I take it, or not. It's a decision. To not decide is a decision. Yeah. Question from the group. Go ahead, Bernd.
Hi, AnShin, nice to see you.
AnShin, how do you deal with people in your immediate environment who act very inattentive?
Well, attentiveness is a pretty subjective position. The vast majority of people in my immediate environment do not pay attention like I pay attention. That doesn't mean that they're not paying attention, just different. I go to visit my son, yes, and trust me, my attentiveness is very different from his. It comes to his personal space. It's the way he keeps it, not my business. Only if it begins to have an impact on me. At that point, then I need to make a decision. About these things, I am not ambivalent. Question that was mailed in. How would I describe what is my true nature? That's easy. Ever-changing, ever-expanding and contracting, no fixed point. Question of the group. Go ahead, Bathsheba.
You talked about sitting in order just to sit. But isn't it also for the purpose of waking up or reduce suffering?
No, really just sitting to sit, being connected to the breath. And in that process, trust me, the nature of our suffering begins to reveal itself in different ways. A resistance. It'll show itself. But if I'm trying to conjure up what is my suffering, or if I have that intention when I sit, I think I really have missed the point. What I can honestly say is that the initial stages for me of this practice were incredibly difficult and incredibly challenging. As I began to become more still, then the distractions that I had created to keep my suffering at a distance, the doors to the different compartments where things were stored, began to swing open. It was immensely challenging for me in the first years, as I was constantly confronted with a desire to flee, to escape into sort of traditional ways of avoiding suffering. And I was becoming more sensitive, more aware of the more subtle ways that my suffering, my conditioned nature, would put hooks into me. To just be still, the memories, the thoughts, the feelings, the perceptions that would rise, to stay connected with my breath, or continue the effort to be connected to my breath, and to not turn away. This was a challenge for me. Really, I just stayed with it. And I really don't know there was a singular motivation. Question from the group. Yes, the hand.
Is it possible that ambivalence can also show up as a form of resistance that can be disguised like it?
Well, I would say ambivalence is a form of resistance, absolutely, but not exclusively. I mean, there's some things I just don't really care. Certain circumstances that people get all wrapped up with just don't affect me in the same way. Yes, some people refer to that as ambivalence. Because I don't have the same concerns as the next person, doesn't necessarily mean I'm avoiding. Question from the group. Yes, Nicola.
When you interact with other people and you express yourself very clearly, are there ever circumstances where you are afraid that this person might reject you for what you have just said?
Oh yes, absolutely. And if it's important to be said, I say it anyway. But I say it as skillfully as I possibly can. And I'm better today than I was a month ago, or skillful at that, because I want to be. I'm constantly polishing this process, and I don't do it alone. Question from the group. Kenshin and then Bill.
And I'm just curious, now that the Ukraine trip is a bit ago, what kind of reflections have come up for you?
You know, it's hard to say. So Friday night, I did a public talk here. At some point, somebody was drinking water out of a metal water bottle, and they dropped this thing. When it hit, it sounded like a rifle shot, or it sounded like an explosion, and I reacted to that. It reached me. You know, and the best I could do in that moment is say, this is what war looks like after the fact. But in the past, I would make an effort to avoid that. Or if a reaction like that caught me unaware, I would be embarrassed, somehow ashamed. I felt like I had to be reacting like that. Not today. But I also noticed when I walk around, just the other day, they tested the alert system here in Germany. And even though I knew it was coming, when it went off, it took my breath away. Yes, and when I walk around, I am more on alert than I have been. I'm always on alert, but now a bit more. Question from the group. Okay, that's again, and then Kenshin.
Anshin, you mentioned that tomorrow you will start a pilgrimage. Would you tell a little bit what's going to happen?
Because again, I don't have any idea what will happen. None. You know, my mind gets sometimes a little busy, but I'm able to just go shh, because I really don't know. You know, I'll be out for 4 or 5 days. I'll be offline. No phone, nothing. No computer. No money. Just robes, an altar, and my shoes or boots. It's my biggest decision right now. Do I wear shoes or boots? I don't know. We'll see in the morning what I put on. I had no idea. That is the point. In that Hell's Gate, the book At Hell's Gate, in the beginning, there's a short dialogue between Fayen, another monk named Guichen. So Guichen approaches Fayen, said, "Yo, Fayen, what's up?" Fayen says, "Oh, I'm going to go on a pilgrimage." Guichen asks Fayen, "Why are you going on a pilgrimage?" Fayen says, "I don't know." And Guichen replied, not knowing is most intimate. How powerful that is. To be willing to be present to the reality of not knowing. It's the hardest thing for people. You just sit in the realm of not knowing. Question from the group.
My question is regarding trauma response, or perhaps overall just stress. Do you think it's useful to work more actively with our nervous system, where stuff can also get stored?
But that's way too complicated for me. I mean, if somebody feels they need to do that, then do that. I hope it's helpful. But I think there's a grasping at how to fix things. I have to learn how to live at peace with my peacefulness. There's no escape. Not in the sense that I somehow transcend or eliminate my suffering. It never goes away. But my relationship to it can change. Has changed through the process of acceptance. Okay, Bernd, do you have it?
Yes, my question is back.
So during the pilgrimage, you walk in silence. And I'm curious what is kind of the meaning behind it, but also how you relate to that. And how it has been for you in your previous pilgrimages where you already made the experience of walking with people in silence.
It's not rigid silence. I mean, there's sometimes we've been walking, and a car will pass, a certain brand of car, and it sort of stimulates a song. You know, it's sung by Janis Joplin. Just pops up. There's another one too that it would pop up occasionally. It's a children's song about a teapot. That would pop up sometimes. But for the most part, it's just quiet. When we're walking and not talking, other world is communicating with us. It's so intimate. The interface with nature, not our idea of nature, but with the reality that we're walking. And the only way you can really know is to experience this. I've walked tens of thousands of miles all over the world. It's such a very powerful practice. Doing it just to do it is quite something. Walking just to walk. Question is good. Okay, KL, then Batsheva, and then Gabi.
Hello, Anshin. Would you be willing to share any details of your stay in the Ukraine and your time with Washin?
Yes, I'd be glad to. So on average, we would get between 1 and 8 error alerts every day. They most frequently happen between 11 o'clock at night and 4 o'clock in the morning. On a couple of occasions, the defense batteries would be firing for hours at night. They're shooting down the UAVs and the rockets. UAV is the proper acronym for drones.
Okay.
Yeah, the nomenclature is unmanned aerial vehicle. My routine was pretty consistent. I would leave my room in the morning. I'd have some tea, a piece of bread. Didn't have a toaster. Yeah, so I just had the bread with peanut butter and jelly. Need to adapt. And then I would go for a walk. I would walk about the neighborhood, get a feel for the place. On two occasions, I went to with my assistant. I went down to the Black Sea. I could see some of the buildings along the port section of the Black Sea that had already been hit. And so I did a sitting at a service for the people who were injured or who died. I was never very far from it, the reality of war. Yeah, I explained before, I did a public talk there. It was held outside because of the threat of attack. And I did a retreat there. And there were people from Odessa and from other cities. Yes, and there was also one person there from Russia. I visited the downtown section and you get to know some of the history of the city. Yes, and while we were walking, the alerts run off. The people just were doing business as usual. Business as usual, given the reality that they were living in. Functioning in a war zone like that, which is constantly under threat of aerial attack, there's a certain compartmentalization that needs to take place to function. I'm just beginning to unpack that. I visited the old synagogue. There's a very rich Jewish heritage in Odessa. Yeah, I have some photos of that. It's not functioning now because I wanted to visit, to go inside. Yeah, they have security there. They let us know that the place wasn't in use. Then they directed us to a place that was in use. And I'm unable to pronounce the name. It's something like Stiblak or something like that. It's open 24 hours. We have permission to enter. They granted us permission to enter. They gave me a yarmulke. I know what to do with them. I put the yarmulke on and went inside and offered prayers. And then left, bowing with reverence as I exited. I visited the city hall, and they've recently established a monument there. There are several white pillars, and they have expended armament on top of them, pieces of rockets and shells, 50 caliber, 20 millimeter. And then they have plaques on these pillars with the names of the different cities and marks for the number of people who were killed in those cities. So I offered prayers, just to not turn away from that, not be numb to that. Visited the Central Market. That had also been hit and has since been hit again. It's busy. People are out and about, driving in their cars. Restaurants open. But it's ordinary life in a war zone. I understood the compartmentalization. I have the intention to bring Washin here first to Europe, and also to bring him to the U.S. He's never been. His mother actually lives quite close to here. But as I talk about the place, the truth of it begins I begin to feel the truth of it. The truth of that mixed with all the other war zones I've ever been in, as a non-combatant and as a soldier. It's just painful. There's a weight to it. And Washin is a good guy. I like him. I really appreciate his commitment to continue to do what he's doing. And I pressed on him to do more. Because I emphasized, I don't want to talk about what could be possible. I only want to talk about how to do things. I'm going back. I don't know exactly when, but I'm going back. And I hope there will be people who will come with me. Because they were the people there were so immensely supported. But the mere fact that we came, he's ordained, then lineage. None of those people will come there to visit him, to support him. I have to be careful how I talk about that. We need to be in places like that. We need to be present, really to bear witness to whatever is unfolding there. Violence is not a solution. And even when it appears to work, it doesn't really work. There's always a cost to pay for it. Exposing myself more to the treatment of the indigenous population in the U.S. as the U.S. was expanding in the mid-19th century. I just cry. It's to just sit with powerlessness in a grand scale and to see what I can bring right to the present moment. Be the peace that I want to see in the world, not the idea of it. There was another question. Oh, so Gabby, did you have a question?
Ja.
Gabby, this will be the last question.
Und dann, Gabi, machen wir als letzte Frage. The songs you were referring to that would come up during the pilgrimage, was it just something that came up internally in your mind, or was it also something you would sing out loud?
No, I sang. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. This is my handle, this is my spout. When you tip me over, then no.
When I start to whistle, hear me shout.
When I start to whistle, then I shout. Just tip me over and pour me up. I just popped up. I don't know where it came from. And then the other one was, oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? My friends, that song. That would just pop up. Yeah, and also, there was this bird that would show up. We first noticed it as we were walking through Ohio in the U.S., a red-winged blackbird. Yeah, but people kept seeing it. It was there every morning. All the way across the U.S., we would see one in the morning. I'm sure it was the same bird followed us all the way across. But it's interesting how things like that will affect a group. We start walking in the morning, and then after a short time, people would be saying, have you seen Ohio? They called the red-winged blackbird Ohio. There was a certain tension. And until someone went, oh, there's Ohio. Then the world was okay. So just different things. It's an incredible practice. We can do it just to do it. Not a day trek, not hiking in the mountains. A very disciplined practice.
Thank you for listening to this episode on Zalto Live. If you would like additional information, please look at the show notes or visit zalto.org. That's ZALTHO.org. Our work is made possible solely through donations, so please consider making a tax-deductible gift on our website. We wish you well and thank you.